Commissioner, welcome to New York. There's a lot going on this week. And so you're here really to try and make sure that crystallized in everyone's mind is exactly what the European Union wants to do on the environment and the circular economy. First of all, there's so much talk about defense and defense spending in Europe. Does that crowd out everything else, including climate change and nature funds?
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be in New York, even though it's raining today. The question, of course, is a question I get quite often, actually. And what about the investments that is needed in the green area? But we are in Europe focusing on a lot of things at the same time. For a politician, to be honest, sometimes that is difficult, but we try to focus on one thing at a time. But yes, of course, we have a lot of focus on security, of obvious reasons. We have war on our continent. But that is also why we need to invest in preparedness, which is also something that is green when it comes to water, for example, or having soil. So I would say that I try to link them. And also when we talk about security, we need to focus on competitiveness. So we have the money to also invest in climate adaptation and security. And there is where I think a lot of things that I'm working on, circularity and water, is also a possibility and opportunity for our industries and for the world.
So can you explain or remind for a lot of the people in the room and watching at home where exactly the environment is in terms of priorities for the European Commission?
Very high. I mean, we have set high goals when it comes to the climate and environment. So we are on track on working on towards that. The last mandate, the Commission put forward the Green Deal, which now we are working on. We call it a clean industrial deal. For me, it's green and clean is very much linked. But why we do this is because we need to do it, but also about our own competitiveness and our own growth. So the Green Deal is a growth strategy that we are focusing on. So for me, I have a lot of job, and I really like what I'm doing, and I think that I'm doing this, of course, because I believe in it, and also because I'm doing this for the future, for all of us.
Commissioner, the EU is also facing quite a lot of pushback, including from the US, to mandatory climate transition plans. What can you tell us in terms of, the companies that are involved, the conversations that you're having with investors, and where that ends up?
So when I talk with industries, of course mainly in Europe, but also otherwise, I think they are doing the green transition, investing in green or clean, because of the climate change that we're facing, but also environmental degradation, but also because there is a growth strategy in this. They do, of course, for industries wherever they are in the world, they do things because they want to make more money, right? So, and the thing that I hear is now there is not a possibility to go back. It's the only one way forward, and that is the future, and that is green. So that is what I hear. Then, of course, I sometimes get questions about, well, doesn't it cost a lot of money to do this, focusing on nature or water? Yes, that you can argue, but I would argue the opposite, because doing this in nature, investing in nature, is not a cost, it's an investment. And this is also that industries, of course, know today, because if we don't have clean water or water as such, or if we don't have land that is healthy or air that we breathe, then they also they cannot be competitive. So I mean, this is very much linked. And back to security is also, again, because if we don't invest in these things, we will not handle whatever crisis that will be in the future. So it's very much linked. But I think sometimes I have to struggle or talk a lot about it because we need to raise the awareness on how much that is on stake. Just one figure from Europe that I sometimes go back to it, because for me, when I first heard it, was quite amazing. Sad, I don't know. From the Eurozone, 75% of the corporate loans that is within the Eurozone is dependent on at least one ecosystem, which means, of course, it's not a good to do. It's something that we need to do, and that's not only me saying this. It's investors, insurance companies, and so forth. So it's linked.
How do you think of regulation and framework? So we know, for example, that the EU is rewriting some of the sustainable finance framework to address concerns that it's hurting competitiveness. Some say it's going too far, some saying it's not going enough. Like conceptually, what's the right way to calibrate it?
But that's very true. I mean, the Commission is focusing on simplification of many good reasons, but while also keeping the high environmental and climate goals. Because we know that a lot of things that we have regulated for good reasons have been it's a big administrative burden for industries, which hinder them to be competitive. That is why we're trying to do at the moment. And we have set up our goal for ourselves that we are going to decrease the administrative burden with 25% for the big companies and 35% for the SMEs. And that's something that we're all working on. And I myself are trying, we have a lot of legislation on environment and water and waste management and so forth. Of course, we need to do the part of how, and here I think that digitalization and AI can help a lot when it comes to administrative burdens. But of course, we also look into different regulations that can be more simplified and streamlined. But with that said, I mean, we also industries also like to have rules because that's also making...
Some industries.
Yes, but for the level playing field, that is a good thing, and also for the predictability. If you want to invest, you want to know what is the future, what is the rules for that. So it's to find the right balance. But with that said, we are focusing a lot on simplification for industry, but also for people.
Commissioner, investments in funds and subsequently companies that actually address nature risks, including water, but also biodiversity loss, trail climate investment significantly. How problematic is it, and how do you address that?
So how you mean, like?
So that people focus a lot on climate, but actually less on biodiversity and water, and that's at every level, including some of the investors.
No, but as I said, it's linked. It's not one side, or you cannot choose. You have to do both, and we are focusing a lot of on investment. But with that said, I must say, public money in investment in nature will never be enough. To be honest, that we know. So that's why we're also looking on other innovative solutions when it comes to invest in nature. We're working with different banks and private and public cooperation, of course, but also on nature credits. That's something that I use that, and my president for 1.5 years maybe ago said in a speech that we need to put nature on the balance sheet, and that I use very often because that is correct. That is what we need to do. But it's not that easy, of course, because how can you do the methodology to actually know that it's investment in nature, not just something else. So that is what we are working on. But here again, I feel that it's a lot of interest in this because. Well, back to water again. Sorry to go back there, because we have droughts, we have floods, and that costs a lot of money. Of course, it is also devastating for people. And also we know that will become more and more common. It will be more lengthy periods of drought. That is very hard for example, energy production or AI or data centers and so forth. So we need to do this, and the cost of doing nothing is getting bigger and bigger. So that is also a little bit back to awareness. But so I think we are investigating new alternatives, but investing in nature is something that we need to do.
I was going to ask you actually about data centers. Because they're the next thing that we need to think about. Is it important to, I don't know if it's through regulation, but just not put them in places where there's water scarcity?
No, I mean, I think you need to have that in mind when you put new plants, big plants on different places. That I think is also already doing so, and I think they are very aware of that. It would be a problem if there is water scarcity in the place that the plant is present. But again, I think here you must see AI as an opportunity, but of course there are risks. But I think again, I mean, I'm not an expert, of course. But I think that you can use AI to see what is the best location for this, for example. Also maybe also shorten some rules, and maybe also make things faster when it comes to permitting and so forth. But yes, data centers takes a lot of energy, of course, but also a lot of water. And I know good examples where they also use water over and over again. I think that is one thing. And here again, I think the techniques are there, and also a lot of opportunities for water sector as such. And in Europe especially, we have a lot of new techniques and new innovations when it comes to water. So I think here is an opportunity, not only sometimes as you started with only a cost. It's something that actually can grow and make new jobs But the data centers is a possibility and a challenge.
What's the rationale for the EU actually making a circular economy, and what does that look like?
So, the circular economy, I have it in my title of many reasons because it's really important. It's for us it's important. I will maybe start like we have talked about circularity for a long time. The first regulation we had in Europe is from the 70s, and everybody who I talk with likes circularity, but we don't really get there. We don't get the economics really right. And why is this important? We have it, as I a little bit talked about earlier, the Clean Industrial Deal, the Competitiveness Compass. We have other action plans for automotive industry, for metal and steel and so forth. And circularity is important because today, both because we need a lot of materials for the security in the defense industry, the green transition and the digitalization. So here circular, and we are very dependent, like others, from other regions. We are totally dependent when it comes to critical raw materials, but also for other materials that we need, like cement and others. So this is why one thing that is important, but it's also about our nature, because we also need to be more careful on the how we use our resources and be more efficient, and also costly, because so it's a lot of reasons why we do this. And again, I think that our industries can be more competitive if they are more circular.
I was going to ask you, how can you make sure, or can you make sure that actually prices, from recycled materials are at least competitive with virgin materials?
That is a really good question, but unfortunately today is not the case. In a lot of materials it's cheaper to buy the virgin materials, and of course that is something that we struggle with, and it's different if you talk with plastic or metals or critical raw materials. It's a little bit different from different or textiles. I think that we know that we have the technique. We need to scale things up, but I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from each other here also. But yes, that is a challenge that I see, and I suppose that is one of the reasons that we really have not gone circular yet. But I think the time is now, because we cannot continue with being this dependent that we know that has been harmful for us.
What can you tell us about deforestation? I mean, this is the thing, there's so much to do in everyone, right? When you look at the deforestation bill, some of the smaller companies say, like, look, it's really burdensome on them. So what are the conversations that you're having?
Very many. But
I imagine.
Yes. But we have to start with see that deforestation is a huge challenge in the world today, and it's continuing. So that was the reason why the EU put forward the deforestation regulation for 3-4 years ago. So that is the objective is very clear, and everybody is very committed to that. With that said, we know that it has been some struggle from a lot of third countries also on to how to address. But I also the work has been ongoing for a long time now. So and we of course, as again back to the simplification, we are trying also to simplify the regulation as it is, which we have had a lot of progress during the spring, I would say. But the other day I announced that we also have some challenges with the IT system. That means that we need also to take this time to also see if we need more time to also have it implemented fully. That is one of the reasons for that is because we see business risk for businesses and people. So, but I am fully aware that people feel that it is burdensome, and that is of course not good. But we also need to take care of our environment, and to be honest, I mean Europe is a big consumer. We consume a lot, so we need to take our responsibility in the deforestation, and that was the meaning with the regulation, which is still there.
And Commissioner, overall, I mean, this is maybe more of a philosophical question, which may be a little bit heavy for a Thursday morning. But do you need trade-offs? I know Exxon stopped doing some of the recycling because they said, for example, regulation was too burdensome. Is it better that companies do the regulation, do good without too much regulation? Or is it better to do it right?
I mean, I don't agree with the trade-off. That's not how I think it. I mean, as I said, I mean, the industry that I meet, they want to be sustainable in a lot of areas. And as I said, of course, they do this to make money, and also, so of course, regulation cannot be too burdensome. But back to the recycling, we need also from a European perspective see how can we secure that we have a recycling industry within Europe. And that is why, I mean, next year I'm putting forward the new Circular Economy Act, and that is a question that I think a lot about. How can we secure that? And of course, one of the things that me as a policymaker can elaborate with is, for example, public procurement. That is something, but I would say that all the things that we are doing, I do in very close cooperation with industries, because I think it's never a good thing that is only coming up from, but also together. So that is why we try to have a lot of dialogues. If I may talk about circularity again, I mean, it's not only the critical raw materials that needs to be circular or can gain of that. It's also about textile, for example. So I think here we have a lot of work to do on the design of products so they can stay in the circle for a longer time. And this is something that I really need to work with the industries, because I am not an expert in that. That would be very strange. So, I mean, this is the type of working together with big and small companies, also when it comes to the chemical or plastic industry. So that is a little bit how I see it. But of course, so we need rules, but it has to be balanced in one way. So maybe that is a trade-off. I don't really know, but to find that balance is my goal.
The Global Plastics Treaty was once again stalled in August. Are you comfortable? Are you optimistic actually that something meaningful will be done on that?
It has to be, again, back to why we do this. I mean, we see the plastic pollution is growing, and there is, you all see the pictures on the plastic pollution in the oceans, and how it looks on our beaches everywhere in the world, and it's terrible. So that is one reason. Yes, but I was in Geneva, negotiated, and, after these night discussions, or no food, no sleep, you are tired, and you are like this. I was very disappointed. With that said, I'm still optimistic, because that's how I am, and otherwise I would not do this, I think. Because why is I'm optimistic? Because I saw people or countries and regions come together to actually talk. And of course, we are far away from each other in some, but we are agreeing that we need to end pollution. But we are also from the European Union very firm that we also want to see a global treaty, because we need global solutions of this, because it's not one country that can solve this, or other things neither. But I think I'm still positive, but I think that it's urgent, and we need to seize the momentum now. So I'm having a lot of discussions on this with not only what we call the high ambition countries, which is more than 100 countries that signed, but also with others, because as I said, I also believe that this is an opportunity to move to, because I think that circularity creates new jobs in all the world. So yes, I am still optimistic, but I'm not naive. Multilateralism at the moment is really difficult. Multilateralism has been up and down during forever, and it's a little bit hard at the moment, as we can see, but still the feeling I had like for a couple of days after Geneva broke down, if I may say so, it was positive, because I also saw some steps forward from also countries that doesn't really align with the European Union's view on how a perfect treaty would look like.
Commissioner, I mean, your job is harder now, without a doubt, because of what's going on in the world. We all heard the President Trump speech at the UN. I know, your jobs are a lot harder. When you think it's hard, like, what do you think about? What keeps you going? What is
my grandchild? Her name is Sophie, and that's, I mean, it's true, because yes, it's hard, and sometimes I know that it's hard time. I mean, again, we have war in Europe, so it's not easy to be a politician, well, be anyone. But at the same time, I think it's very important what I do, and I'm very proud that I have the possibility to do this. But that's what I think about.
Is it an opportunity for Europe?
Absolutely.
Because investment comes, I mean, could you see investments leaving the US coming to Europe because of beliefs?
I think that it is an opportunity for Europe, because in this time when we have challenges, there are continents and states that close. I think from a European perspective, we think the opposite. We open, because we think that is the way forward. And again, when the industry that I meet, mostly in Europe, of course, they see that this green transition or clean transition is the way forward. And back to what I said, they are not doing this just because of the better cost. They are doing because it's the opportunity, the business case in it. So I would absolutely say that this is an opportunity for Europe. And that we also see that there's a lot of continents or states that also approaches Europe at the moment.
We started talking about defense right at the start, so I'd like to end on that. Is there an opportunity for actually some of the defense spending to be used in the environment? I know, for example, Poland and the peatlands, like, it's also a way of defense. towards Russia and other countries.
No, absolutely. I mean, water is one good example that is a preparedness question. I mean, we can learn a lot from Ukraine also. I mean, water we all need. We need it for the production of energy and so forth. But it's also, as you say, Finland, I'm from Sweden, but our countries neighbor Finland, they have the longest border to Russia. They also working, and it will cost huge money to build a wall. That's not possible. So, I mean, using peatlands is one example. Poland is doing the same, and that is something that also will gain, because it's a nature-based solution, right, to protect us from floods and droughts. So it's a win-win. So that is a good example how you can invest in restoring nature and also have the borders protection. So it's really, that is one part of the preparedness, but the other part of having preparedness is for floods, but also having clean water. So it's very much linked to a lot of things, that investing in nature is something that we all gain from in different perspectives. So yes.
Commissioner, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.